you to those who are joining in consciousness, and to those of you who are listening to the recording, a warm welcome. It's a privilege and an honour to be here with you. Today, I'll be sharing thoughts on the subject of spiritual enlightenment. But before I do, shall we begin with a very short meditation? I invite you to close your eyes with me now and just be still in any way that has meaning for you. At the end of the meditation, I'll say thank you, and then we'll start the discussion. Blessings to you, Glorian, too. Okay, let's be still. Thank you. Hello to you, Assad. A warm welcome. And to those who have just joined us, I'm discussing the subject of spiritual enlightenment today, with reference to an article that was pointed out to me. And this article was written a couple of months ago by Alan White in reference to Joel Goldsmith's work. And it struck me as a wonderful topic on which to share a live stream. So I'm going to read you an extract from this article now, and I've included the link in the description. So Alan's responding to a question that's been sent to him about why the path to enlightenment seems to take so long. And he says, I'll read this out to you. He says, let's go back to my original question. Why can't there be an express way to enlightenment? Luckily, there is an express way to spiritual enlightenment, and you can hop on it once you accept this truth. Spiritual enlightenment is not an achievement. It is the natural state of the one and only mind. And Alan goes on to point out that when we read Joel Goldsmith's books and listen to his recordings, it can sometimes give the impression that one needs to go through a whole process of spiritual practices in order to reach that place of sudden illumination or enlightenment. And yet the divine joke is that we are already that which we're seeking. The divine mind is already the mind that I am. It's a belief in thoughts of an egoic self that delude us into believing otherwise. As Gloria has just said, yes, a recognition of what I am and who I am. And all of Joel's teachings are leading us to that place of recognizing and then resting in the mind that I am. The practice of meditation, as Joel teaches it, enables us to rest in that place of inner stillness, so that the awareness of this mind becomes very clear and apparent. And then we live from that place of inner seeing, being empty, being no thing, which means continually, consciously being here now. And Octavia Williams calls this be the space for now to happen into, which I really like. And I've linked her YouTube channel in the description. Okay, I'm going to read to you an extract from Living the Infinite Way now. And I'll read, this is the book, and I'll read a very short quote from chapter 1. And this book's by Joel Goldsmith. So Joel says, "There is not an infinite consciousness and your and my consciousness. Otherwise, there would be infinity plus something, which cannot be. Therefore, the infinite consciousness, which is God, is the consciousness which we are. Because our oneness with God, we individually have access to the infinite nature of God's being, to the infinite eternal life of God. God is consciousness. We are that consciousness individualized. But that consciousness is one consciousness, indivisible, indestructible, immortal, eternal, and above all things, omnipresent, here where we are, and it is omnipotent. Because God is our selfhood, God is the measure of our capacity. Infinite being is the nature of our being. Infinite being is the capacity of our being. And now in this moment, we must recognize, acknowledge, and submit ourselves to it." So you see, the temptation is to become so engrossed in thoughts, imagination, our egoic self, that we overlook what's always really here, our real self, our spiritual identity, the only truth that's ever existing. In one of the wisdoms in the infinite way, Joel's guiding us to see this place of inner perception, of inner seeing. And he writes, thank you, Gloria. No and, thank you. I'll read this quote from The Infinite Way. One of the wisdoms. And he tells us, "If it takes place in time and space, do not accept it at its appearance value, but search deeper in the realm of the soul. I'll let that sink in for a moment. So the deep truth here is that there is no time and space. It's an illusion of imagination. And the knowing of this is the key to being able to let go and then rest in the emptiness, the silence, the being of what's really here. I'm hoping that by sharing these quotes, one in particular may resonate with you and clarify deeply what I'm sharing. And Eckhart Tolle, who endorses Joel's books, is quoted as saying, and I'm just going to read this quote to you now. Eckhart says, "I am not my thoughts, emotions, sense perceptions, and experiences. I am not the content of my life. I am life. I am the space in which all things happen. I am consciousness. I am the now. I am." So you see, we don't have a life. We are life. And that's a huge distinction. Does anyone have any comments or questions they'd like to share at this point? Thank you to those who have joined us. It's a privilege and an honour to be here with you. Okay, well, if that's the case, then I'll close with one final extract, and this is from The Mystical Eye. Can you see that? And I'm going to read from chapter 11. Two fairly short quotes, but I think you'll find they're deeply profound. Hello, Kate. Thank you for joining. Kate's saying hi to everyone. Okay, so chapter 11. And Joel's telling us, we live and move and have our being in a sea of consciousness, an infinite ocean of consciousness, pouring itself through and as our individual consciousness, and appearing outwardly as form. As long as we do not get in its way with I, me, or mine, the rhythm of that consciousness will continue to unfold harmoniously. The outer appearances, the outer forms, will be harmonious ones, and we will be living the spiritual life, living in the fourth dimension of life. In the same chapter, he goes on to say, in the recognition of omniscience, there is a demand for silence in the presence of God. In the recognition of omnipotence, there is a demand for silence in the presence of God. In the recognition of omnipresence, there is also a demand for silence. The only form of prayer acceptable to God is absolute silence, a relaxing and a resting in the conviction of God as omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence. To bring forth the grace of God, the glory and the perfection of God, it is necessary to be still, so that in that stillness the rhythm of the universe can flow forth as harmony. The rhythm of the universe, isn't that so beautiful? And when we rest deeply in meditation, we can feel our oneness with and as this rhythm. And reading the spontaneous contemplations in Joel's books, the sections you'll find in italics as you're reading them, it's very clear that at times he reaches an elevated conscious awareness of this. And I intend to talk about this more in an upcoming live stream when I'll be discussing world work in parallel with a new book study group I'll be co-hosting with Glorian from the 17th of July onwards. And for those who are interested in joining us, my email address is in the description for the Zoom links and more information. Everyone's very welcome to join. There's no charge, and you don't need to know anything about world work, the infinite way, or have any of Joel's books. Everyone's welcome. So just to let you know, next week I'll be away on holiday, but I'll be back again on Saturday the 20th of July to delve deeper into the rhythm of the self by reading more from the young man and the old man, and I hope you'll join me then. But for now, shall we close with a short meditation? I invite you to close your eyes with me and be still just for a few moments, feeling that deep peace within. At the end of the meditation, I'll say thank you, and then we'll leave in silence. Much love. Thank you. Thank you.